Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Danielle and I'm from Just Readings. So today's pick a card reading is a holiday love reading. My intention was to choose from romantic partners you're already in, or maybe romantic interests that you have. It could also be people you haven't even met yet. That did come through, I believe, in one of the piles. Ultimately, it is a fairly positive reading, or at least that's how I perceived it. I guess it's different when it's about you versus when I'm just the third party perspective. But we looked at your current energy during the holiday season, your person's current energy during the holiday season. We also looked at what would be activated in you during the season. So it wasn't necessarily about the relationship, just what's going on, what's impacting you, what's affecting you during that season, and then might impact the relationship. And then we also did the same for the person that you're inquiring about. We then looked at how the connection shifts your energy towards the end of the holiday season. So what you kind of teach each other. Yeah, and there was a few messages around lessons that they teach you as well, but that's more or less all we're looking at today. So I felt like there was a lot of people who were already in relationship who were just kind of checking in. So welcome to stay as well for that. And if you haven't met anyone, then hopefully you get some insights on this as well. But anyways, you have 3 piles to choose from. Pile 1 is this clear quartz. It's a double pointed clear quartz. Sorry, I don't know what just happened there. Here we go. I think that always kind of happens towards filming a whole pick a card reading in a day. I start to talk funny. I just stop being able to articulate. This is the rose quartz. Wow, my camera's doing so good today. It's like really picking up on things. Okay, my bad. And then pile 3 is this Shamanic dream quartz. There we go. So it has like those really cool inclusions in it, I think is what they're called. So anywho, if you've never done a pick a card reading before, I'll give you a little explanation now. If you have, I'm sure you're already picking your piles, but for those who haven't, it's always best to try to get grounded before choosing a pile. I always say there's like a few different ways we can choose. We can choose from the mental body, which there's nothing wrong with that, but usually it's our intuition we want to choose from first. So it's always best to start to bring your awareness to your feet on the floor. If you're sitting down, feel into the chair. You're really trying to feel into the body, feeling connected to it again. If you're able to do so safely, it can be great to close down your eyes. Take a deep breath in, down through the nose, out through the mouth. Maybe doing that a few times. And every time you're breathing in, trying to actually intentionally breathe in all the way into the lower diaphragm, or kind of into where your lower tummy is, and then exhaling all the way back through out the mouth. It's even like good to slow down the breath. This kind of cues to the body that we're not in distress, we're safe right now. And it helps us hear that intuition of ours when we're feeling more calm, peaceful, grounded. So before you open your eyes, then it would be great to ask yourself the question, is there a message for me in one of these piles? And then opening your eyes, glancing at the crystals or the card decks. There could be a color, a crystal shape, an image on the cards. There could just be an intuitive nudge to be like, I don't know why I just need to choose the pile in the middle or on the sides, left or right. There's no real wrong or right way to choose a pile. It's more or less where you're feeling connected or drawn to. So that's why it's really important to get grounded first, trying to choose from the intuition, not from the mental body. So that being said, each one of these piles in today's pick a card reading has an energy check. So you can kind of listen to the first 5 minutes. If it's not making sense to your situations or how you're feeling, then I would take that as a confirmation that this pile is not for you and go ahead and choose another one. Another thing people like to do to choose a pile is sometimes they like to look at the numbers. So if you go into the description box below, there is a timestamp beside each pile. And you might see a number there that means something to you or you've seen a lot lately. And that can also be another way to choose a pile. So as you can see, no real wrong or right way. That being said, I'm going to give you time now to choose your pile as my cat comes in and starts getting a little up and close and personal with the camera, and I'll see you in your card piles. Hello, pile ones. All right, thanks for joining me for this reading. If you skip the intro, I'll just give you a little bit of a breakdown about what we're looking at. It's almost mirrored. I just didn't want to confuse some of these cards, so I kept them to the one side. But over here on the side, the rabbit, the baby steps, practice, release shame, and to the left is what I intended to be for you pile ones as the viewer. And then your person, whether it's someone you're in relationship currently or someone you're meeting or have recently met, is this lizard, the snow leopard, surrender to spirit, over. So we're going to look at your current energy right now during the holiday season. We're also looking at the same for your romantic interest or romantic counterpart. We're looking at what is activated within both of you during the holiday season. So this doesn't actually necessarily mean by them. I actually intended just in general, like there's a lot of different things that come up during the holiday times with family, with past relationship traumas or patterns. So I just really wanted to incorporate that as more of like, what are you feeling like during this holiday season? And then I pulled these other two animal cards for like what you are learning from each other, like how this relationship or connection shifts you towards the end of the season. And then these yellow cards here, if you're watching the video, is just what you're learning from this other person and what they're learning from you. So we'll see. I might do an extended. I haven't quite decided. So we'll get to the end of the reading and we'll see what happens. But essentially what I have for you is there's so much coming around this holiday season about really trying to change your perspective about how the holidays can be. So I would feel like if you are watching this, pile ones, if you are actually this person, I should also just disclose here that if you're resonating more with the person B, that's also totally okay. Sometimes that just happens, but anyways, we're going over all the same details for both sides. So it doesn't matter which one you resonate with. You might even see a little bit of yourself in both, but I'll just trust your intuition that you'll get the messages you need from here. But essentially, I see a lot here coming around, starting to trust your intuition. I would wonder if there's just also been a lot of stress and pressure in general in your life leading up to now. I just like the energy of this pile, like whenever I see the athlete comes out, it usually means like you've had to have a lot of self-discipline, stamina, and I almost want to say drive to push through situations, whether that is in work, just energy levels, relationships, all those kinds of things. I do get a little bit of impression from this pile that if you aren't already in a relationship with this person, I would feel like you have been dating recently. Like, I don't know. I maybe recently could be like 3 months ago or 6 months ago, honestly, what is recent, but I just get the impression that like you've had a lot of like ups and downs with people in the sense of like maybe getting your hopes up and then them not quite meeting the potential you saw in them is like what I want to say here. But that doesn't have to be the case. I just kind of get that impression, like this just general exhaustion with relationships. Could also be because you've just been really working hard to get more harmony in your relationships, romantic, maybe with family, also maybe with friends. It just feels like, yeah, you've had a tough year. That's what I want to say. This pile's had a tough year and you have really gone and like found the courage and the energy somewhere within yourself to keep pushing through is almost what I want to say here. Pushing through. And I do feel like you are seeing a lot of, I don't know if reward's the right way, but you are seeing a lot of benefit from having done some of that, like that trickiness with relationships. So I also want to say, I think there's so much around you having worked really hard on yourself or tried to start connecting with parts of yourself that might not have felt lovable or deserving of love, something like that. I just feel like this pile's really like, you've had a rough year, but you've really also been trying to see why you might have these beliefs around yourself, why perhaps you've attracted in the past some like less appreciative or emotionally available people, something of that sort. And I do feel like you're also been trying to work on, I almost want to say, and this is where, please take this with a grain of salt, because it's like an energy I'm picking up, so I'm not quite sure if the words I'm going to use are going to make sense, but I almost feel like a bit of pessimism specifically around being able to have the type of love you want or type of relationship you want. That's what I think you've been working with yourself, because I feel, sorry, you might be able to hear my cat Charlie. He's making a lot of noise. But I just feel like there's a part of you that maybe feels a little hopeless in love, a little hopeless to be, like, I want to say normal. This makes me think of the part of self that does carry a lot of shame. We all have a part of ourselves that does have a bit more shame. Usually it's like a younger part where, you know, our family or our parents just didn't have the emotional intelligence or capacity to validate that part, make it feel deserving and loved. I feel like you've worked with that part a lot. So sorry, I'm giving a lot of explanation here, but that's what's really coming through. It's like, I'm actually, instead of seeing you as like the full adult you, I'm really seeing like you having worked with this wounded part of yourself. And I believe it's that part that's come up in relationships, specifically romantic ones, where you've noticed it the most, I would imagine. That might have a lot of anxiety, that might be kind of very worried that it's not doing enough in relationships, all those kind of things. So when all the stuff that I'm seeing that this person, whether you're currently in a relationship with them, because honestly, I could see this pile having dated a lot of like duds. And then you might have recently met this like super awesome person. And I should say, what I'm seeing here is this person is pretty awesome. They have similar wounds to you, but they present in a different way, which is really interesting. It's almost like you cope differently. So that would make sense. If you're like, I'm dating someone and they have a lot of anxiety, or they feel like they need to constantly stay busy or stay in control situations or manage situations, they may be someone who's like really clean or has a really strict routine, always wakes up at the same time. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of getting this like profile in my head, but anyways, I do feel like you also have a lot of anxiety, but I think you're like, the way you manage it is like you kind of internalize more of it and you come out very gentle. And I would even bet that people think you're calmer, internally than you are, because like when I see this inner peace card, I'm like, I feel like there's a lot of worry, concern, analyzing, hypervigilance coming through for you on the inside, but I think the outside perceives you as very calm, collected, and successful. So that's really interesting. Your person here, kind of jumping over here now, I feel like so there's someone who does I feel like they've gotten to a place where they're probably like a really hard worker. I'm just going to say that. Like, they might be someone who has at some point even identified as being a workaholic or something like that. Perfectionist, perhaps. So kind of those kind of words. Like, they're very driven, but I feel like their drive was initially to get more control in their life, to feel like, yeah, like they'd be okay. They're perfectly independent. They are, if they have it all figured out, then no one can kind of hurt them, is kind of what I feel like the story would have been inside. But on the outside, it might just be like someone who is like, I just need to be financially successful, so I don't need anyone or need to rely on anyone or have anything used against me. I don't know. I just kind of get that story coming through. A lot of this, I feel like, comes from, like it says, surrender in healthy relationships. And whenever I see surrender to spirit card, that usually talks a lot to me, when I'm at least doing readings, that there's like this belief that you have to do everything yourself or nothing will ever happen for you. No one will ever come and support you. Like, sorry, I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, oh, that's hard. That's rough. So this is kind of similar, because like, I actually feel like you have a little bit of this, so you would maybe fear this mirrored, but they present it differently. Like they are very, very, very structured structured. And it's like that structure is their security. And I would feel like relationships, I keep thinking this probably started in family, that they're like, whether it's like their mom or their dad just wasn't the greatest person, might even have been a bit of a neglectful household or something of that sort. Like, I feel like there was extreme chaos in this person's childhood. I feel like there was like verbal, I'm like always like, can I say these things on YouTube? I don't know. I'll say it anyways. I feel like there was like verbal abuse in this household, this person's household, and things of the such. And I have to say, I feel like there could have been similar things for yourself. But this person is like living more stuck in it. Maybe that's a good way to put it, because like, once again, I really do feel like you have a lot of similar like upbringing, maybe traumas for lack of better words, but this person is still very much living in trying to fight the lack of control from that time in their life, where I feel like you internalized it. Like I even have here like release shame, practice humility, taking baby steps. So practice humility, sorry, this often comes up, I find, in card readings when people need to be more kind to their littler parts. So it's usually someone who needs to just meet their inner child with more love, understanding, compassion, instead of expecting them to be just like put together adults when it's not that part of you. It's just the little part of you. I hope that makes sense. But anyways, so yeah, it's really, really interesting. I just feel like there's so many commonalities. I can see why you connected as two people, because yeah, similar wounds, different coping mechanisms. This person, same thing. They a lot of their cards coming through about what you're going to teach them is like how to learn to become more comfortable with not always knowing what's going to happen, to understand that they got themselves, like they themselves are empowered to set boundaries to get out of that situation if they're in a situation they don't feel comfortable in. Perhaps even telling them they don't need to, like there's no expectation for them to have a family relationship. I know sometimes that's a big thing in the dating world, is people want you to have ties with your family, but they weren't good for you. So I feel like there's like this non-pressure from you to have to reconnect with their family members, and just teaching them how to like better nurture that inner child that's reacting and that is like coming up with all this anxiety and fear. So there is a lot of anxiety in both sides. That's what I keep saying. So let's just kind of go into a little bit more specifically. When I see what is activated within you, the unicorn person over here, surrender the habit of people pleasing, surrender to inner peace. So a lot of this talks about this being a time where you might be experiencing a lot of hypervigilance during the holiday season. Like you might be very good at recognizing patterns in people, behaviors, even like timeline patterns. So just meaning like you're like very aware of the holidays and what usually starts to come up in other people. So there's a lot of like starting to recognize and catch yourself trying to adapt to accommodate these people with that hypervigilance that I'm pretty sure this pile has very well developed. There we go. I'll say that. And it talks a lot about starting to, instead of seeing the hypervigilance and adapting to accommodate the other, to start really seeing how you can start bringing that hypervigilance to yourself, where it's like, what do I need right now so that I don't feel activated in my system, or like my nervous system is just going crazy from stress or anxiety about how people might be behaving or feeling or acting out this holiday season. So it's like, how can you start listening to your intuition a little bit more so that you can feel that peace? You can take care of your needs and not feel like you need to do anything to earn people's love, respect, or kindness. That is a big thing coming through. Like when I see the release shame and baby steps and all these cards, they usually kind of accommodate this deeper belief that was usually put in us as kids. I should just always say that this is not an adult you decision. This is usually something that happened as a child where we felt like we had to earn love, had to do things, had to take care of parents, take care of family members, had to usually, just do all the emotional work, or maybe even like take care of physical needs of parents when we were children. So we start to think we need to earn love. Or it could even be like having really high standards for you in school or in athletics, and you're like, you only got rewarded when you did things perfectly. So there's a lot of this like really coming back to, what do you need right now? What is that little part of you? This is a very big little part of you coming through. So that you can feel more peaceful. So it says, cultivate inner peace on a daily basis. In quiet meditative moments, focus on the stillness within and enjoy this inner refuge. Others will feel your good vibes too, and your life will flow more easily. So this even talks about how if a lot of people, say in your family system or just your friends or coworkers, are very dysregulated during the holidays, if you can create a little routine to just reflect what's going on within you, what is coming up within you, what are you experiencing, like on a nervous system level, on an inner child level, how are you feeling today? And just even holding space for yourself, maybe in the morning, or perhaps it'll be in the evening, but I do feel like mornings are better because it really sets the tone for your day. I mean, you can always do both, because then it helps you get a better sleep once you've checked in and done all the things you need to do for yourself emotionally, and been present with yourself in a way that needed to be, can help you get a better sleep. But I just do feel like it's like trying to stay as regulated as possible within yourself, and that actually being something that mirrors that regulation to others. So instead of you matching people's dysregulation, you're like setting the tone so that they can match your regulation. It's kind of like a cool concept there. So that's really cool. What I have for your other person and what they're going through is we have, surrender to spirit, surrender unhealthy relationships. So I really feel like I was saying with this person, I think on the outside, people think they've really worked through their trauma, but they're still reacting, I would say, reacting and responding to the wounds of their past. That's my perspective. I mean, you might see it differently, but surrendering unhealthy relationships, what I see here is like really starting to let go of the belief that they do need to just keep defending themselves from however this parent was to them. I think it was mainly one. That's what I'm getting from this pile. I feel like it was either like one parent that was very codependent and maybe didn't stand up for them, and the other parent who was probably the one who was very unkind. So I feel like it's like really starting to realize that that parent is not in control of their life like they used to be, that they like that parent, they are an adult. They were an adult, and that parent will never be able to do to them what it did to them as a child. And like really starting to like embody that. So this feels a little bit like somatic work a bit, because it feels like their mind probably knows it, but their body is like still reacting as if that parent is in their life or going to come in at some point, or other people could be that parent. So yeah. And then also this surrender spirit card, as I was saying earlier, starting to learn that they don't need to be responsible for everything. So this person could be someone during the holiday seasons that feels like they have to do everything. They have to go above and beyond. They have to maybe buy everything. Like it sounds like a super draining holiday for this snow leopard person, and just really realizing that it doesn't have to be that way. So this person almost feels like getting really grounded in the present and realizing that they may have been responding still from the past in their life. So if this is someone you are already in relationship with, I feel like you'd be very familiar with this person's patterns, because it feels like you could almost see them kind of an anxiety spiral. And it could be because I think you struggle with your own anxiety, but I really don't think you show it so openly. Like you might think it's more obvious than it is. Maybe in moments you might speak in a way that sounds anxious, but I think your exterior looks quite calm. This person's exterior looks quite anxious, but I think their words seem very confident. So you guys, once again, are kind of opposites, but same at the same time. Yeah. So what I see you teaching this person, this is where it's like making peace with uncertainty, visualizing a shield protection, honoring your child. I kind of already touched on this a little bit for this pile, but I feel like from all your work of like realizing that it is shame coming through, that it is like shame of the inner child. It is perhaps ways that you've been too harsh on yourself or set really high expectations about what you need to do to be deserving of love or earn love or be there for people, like just really high standards that you've realized you've had for yourself. And this does say you're still working on it, but it has like, you have like come up with some like small steps towards change. And I feel like that has really helped this person start to be like, oh, this like it's I really feel like they're learning through observation of you. This person is pretty observant. They also have hypervigilance, I believe. But it's just like realizing that like the present moment. And I also have to say, like, I think you are like the opposite of whoever this parent was. Like, I think because you internalize things and start to take things on as like being your fault, I think this actually creates space for this person to like snap into the moment and be like, oh, I'm like not in that childhood experience. Like this person is not at all my parents' personality or my other past relationship personalities that probably reminded them of whichever parent was really harsh for them. And I really think that snaps them through. So it's kind of funny to say, like, the way that you are and the way that you internalize and like kind of beat yourself up a little bit actually awakens in this person where they're like not being present. Because once again, I actually think this person with more presence would respond quite differently, but instead they kind of get activated and pulled into the past a lot. So when I see like how this relationship with you is going to change them, we have the lizard, which often talks about being able to be more adaptable in changing times. I really see it as like them starting to feel more comfortable in uncertain scenarios. So they kind of have like, it's so funny because I know you pile ones probably relate to being really anxious around some things, but there's just like such a different anxiety. Like, it's like, I don't like want to compare people's like experiences too much, but I feel like their anxiety is a little more debilitating. Like they get so caught in it that they can't see anything else and they're just trying to control and fix things in hopes of getting out. But it's like, it's very, very, very activating. Like it's, not that it isn't activating for you, but I feel like you're more calm within it. This person is extremely dysregulated when they're in that. So it's really a huge game changer for them to be able to start to feel like it's safe to not know what's going to happen or be in control or like, have organization. Like it's actually going to be really huge for them because this person has a lot of stress. Like anxiety fuels it, and the stress, I feel like this person probably doesn't sleep very well. This person probably doesn't eat very well, whether it's eating too much or too little. I can't quite tell you, but it's definitely somewhere on there. They feel very out of control because of the anxiety, but it's ironic because they're in more control of everything in their life than most people are. But it's just adding more stress. And so you're kind of like this peacemaker, if anything. You're like this kindness that changes their perspective about what they thought was true about people. Like, I think that's actually the biggest thing. I think you have actually kind of opened their eyes to the fact that they don't need to maybe always feel so defensive, guarded, reactive around people. And once again, their reactive is going to be very different than most people. I don't think they're angry at all or violent. I just think they try to keep managing and controlling more what they can in this situation. So like what they're doing, how they can fix or help someone's situation. I just feel like, it gets very, very activating in their bodies. Okay, sorry, it's just changing my battery. And then of course a cat jumps up, has to meow at me a few times and come back. But yeah, so I'm not sure if I'm quite verbalizing it, but I would imagine that this person has a lot of emotions for you. So once again, this is where I kind of feel like if you're watching this, And you know, the person, like this person, like they've got a lot of love for you. I mean, like you're literally changed everything they knew to be true about life. They would be someone who maybe have said to you that they have like a real soft spot for you. You make their heart melt. Like I would feel like those kind of things would be something this person would talk about. And you also make them feel like, yeah, like they don't have to be so guarded. They don't have to do anything. And that might be a really big thing. Like they don't have to do anything. And that's like something that's always going on in their mind about what they have to do, what they have to fix to be safe, to emotionally regulate other people, perhaps even. Like, it's just, yeah, you really have, you being you changes this person. So let's get over to you here. So we kind of have what you're struggling with like perhaps like putting your needs before others, being okay with like just being at peace within yourself, a little bit of hypervigilance as well. But like I was saying, a lot of this comes from you. They're reacting because they're like stuck in the past and have a hard time remembering that it's not still happening. For you, I feel like it's like, you are present, but there's this deep belief that there's something innately that's wrong with you or that you're not doing. And that's why people have perhaps not shown up for you in a kind, loving way or something like that. And I want to be very clear here. That is not true. But this is almost like the storyline I would see for what's coming up. And once again, I do believe it's just in like that inner child within you, but it is like a pretty deep belief. So this person in your life really teaches you to start seeing yourself as not the problem. Like instead of like you being like, it's just my fault, or it's just this, it's like whatever, it comes back to like you having to be accountable for the things all going wrong in the world. it feel like they really start to teach you like, it's not all your fault. You did nothing wrong. Like, what about the other person's accountability? Like, I think they ask you very good questions and kind of get you thinking about things. And I do feel like overall starts to teach you how to make small steps of change, like making different thought patterns slowly. I do have to say this does feel slow because I feel like there's a part of you that's like, I don't quite believe this, but they seem to be right. I don't know, like, it seems like they love me, and everything in my belief system said that I could only be loved if I did this. So they might even be asking things of you that you've never been asked in relationships. Like maybe they put a lot of attention on you. They ask you a lot about how you're doing. And I just feel like there could be something like that just is kind of like, there's something that they do that like blows your mind a little bit. Like it kind of defies that reality that you knew about relationships, or you just never knew you could experience. So it does feel quite lovely too. Yeah, I feel like you're quite like taken by this person too, because I just keep looking at your energy, and it's like I think there's a part of you that's just like so excited and feels so supported by this person over here, and it's new. That is very new. And how I see it ends up affecting you ultimately is with this rabbit card. It talks a lot about like I just see it as like the anxious rabbit that's just dodging the next thing after the next thing with a lot of hypervigilance, kind of like navigating around people's emotions. And I feel like this person gets you to pause and actually go, hey, do I need to keep running from anything? Do I actually need to keep running? Like, what is it? Maybe it's like safe just actually to hang out for a little bit. So I feel like this person gets you feeling more safe being seen by people and being just still for a moment and not having to constantly adapt to how people might be feeling towards you, or having to do things to earn that love or get that love from others or respect or something along those lines. And then, yeah, you teach this person that it's okay to not always be in control, and that it's still safe, and that they're very adaptable and capable. And ultimately, they're most likely not someone who will be in a situation where they can't find a safe way out of it, because they're just like, they're actually a very capable person. So it's very interesting. I'm hoping you're seeing the commonalities here. Like as the reader, I'm seeing a lot of the same wounds, slight different thing. They're kind of living from the past, and you're living from a belief system that there's something innately wrong with you. But neither one is true, and they both have like very similar self-sabotaging behaviors that come with it, and just like some really tough, stressful things that come with it. Just like saying like, you're not really seeing perhaps your sincere value and lovability, and this person's starting to show you more of that. So I really love that. There's a lot of like healthy, loving growth here in this connection, which I so love. So there's a part of me that's like, if you haven't met this person, you know what? I just actually, after how much you see each other, I feel like you know this person. I feel like you know this person, whether it's been for a short time or a little bit of a longer time, because you're still like healing through so much. I would feel like this person is someone who's been in your life for probably not much longer than a year to like 3 months or something like that. It could even be a month, let's be honest here. But I do feel like you do know them, and either you are officially dating them or you more or less are just on that direction, is what I would say for this. I mean, that's what I'm getting from the energy, I guess. So if that doesn't happen, you don't end up dating them, I get really curious to what happens there. Only because I'd be very confused as a reader, because it seems like there's so much love for you both. Perhaps, if anything, it would just be the fear. I feel like both of you have a lot of fear of relationship, both wanting it really bad, but also fearing them at the same time, because I think they've been not very loving and kind towards either one of you in the past. So part of me is like, what is another question? Maybe we should just ask for some like general guidance for you around this relationship. Some general guidance. What do you need to know right now after I've said all this? What do you need to know about this? We have tap into your spiritual power. Reach out to a power greater than yourself to help solve a dilemma. Stay open to its guidance in your life. Okay, what else do you need to know about this connection, pile ones? Let yourself receive support. So it's often easier for empaths to give than to receive. Allow others to support you. Experience the pleasure of their caring energy. And lastly, we have breathe. Breath is sacred. To replenish yourself slowly, inhale wellness and clarity to a count of 6. Then exhale stress to a count of 6. Yeah, you know what? It's so funny because I just keep feeling like you could have been either side. You both definitely get the same advice, more or less. Like I said, the small details a little bit different, but breathing, great for both people here to remind yourselves that you're safe, being in the present, that the past was the past, and just checking with yourself about what you're needing. Letting yourself receive support, definitely. I think for like how I'm perceiving pile 1, it's like knowing that it's safe to receive support and it won't be used against you, that there are safe people. There are people where you don't need to do everything to get their love and support. Like, I guess get love from them and attention and kindness is maybe the better word. And then for this person as well, pile 2, it would be like, yeah, just letting other people help them out, because I generally think they'll just go. Emotionally, physically, all that. I think they'll keep doing it all on their own without realizing that you're doing it all on their own. And then this card here is like letting go of control. Like this could also be, like I was saying, there's a lot of fear coming up on both sides. So if that is resonating for you in being fearful of this, losing this connection, of where the connection is going to go, if you're doing something wrong, or, you know, all those kind of things that come up in our mind, just really just trusting that all you can do is be in it right now, and make sure that you are voicing your needs and checking in with yourself to make sure that you are, I want to say like just checking to make sure that you're feeling regulated, because I feel like if there's a lot of fear about losing this person or about this relationship repeating patterns or something like that, imagine that you could have some moments where you're not feeling like yourself, and it just be really beneficial to take that time to check in, whether that's through meditation, journaling, just having a little convo with yourself to make sure that you're good. And just, yeah, kind of staying in tune with your own emotions. And then when you have something that comes up, you can possibly share it with this person, and same with the other person to you. I would say if you were someone who resonated more with the bee person, the snow leopard person, is like trusting that you don't have to always be in control, and it's okay to let more help in. So yeah, and maybe to be more open with this other person about what you're needing, what you're wanting, what you're dreaming of for each other, things of that nature. So I overall feel pretty excited for this relationship. I know there's so much kind of fear from lingering pasts, but I feel like these two people, I actually feel very kind and tender towards each other. And as a card reader, that's ultimately all you want for people, is for them to feel loved, cared for, and like the other person has their highest good in heart, as well as making sure their own needs are met. So I also love this for you, pile ones. I really hope that you have a good holiday season, and yeah, you really just embrace this person and do those little breath checks-ins and know everything's okay. And you got a little Charlie here, I guess, to say goodbye. All right, wishing you the best, and maybe I'll catch you another pick a card reading sometime. Hello everyone. Okay, I have a lot of cards, so I know you can't quite see all of them in the frame, but I will, if I'm talking about them, I will bring them up closer to you. But yeah, just a lot of cards, which is all good. So if you didn't watch the intro, totally cool. More or less, we have person A over here and person B over here. My intention is for you to be person A. So I am going into that mindset of referring to you, the viewer, as over here. If you do feel like the other person is more of where you're at, then just take the messages as you perceive them. Ultimately, this reading is just for you to get some confirmations, validations, and some suggestions. So anywho, we're going to be looking at your current energy, their current energy, what is activating you this holiday season. So I mean this outside of this person, like just with the holiday season being here. What is the activations within your system, within your past, what's just happening in your life that is activating your system, so putting you maybe into a little more stress than you normally are in. And then we're looking at the same for your person over here. What is coming up within their system, internal world during this season of the holidays. And then we have what you're teaching them, what they're teaching you, and then how this dynamic ultimately shifts you by the end of the holiday season, which is these animal cards down here that you can't quite see. But that's okay. I'll show them when we start talking about them. But they're at the very end of our plan here. So that all being said, your current energy, yours is very interesting. So we have the dragon and we have the Messiah. Messiah, I often see as someone who's really coming from like a heart energy, someone who's really embodied like those, what is it called? Those four, oh my gosh, it was on the tip of my tongue. 4 agreements, that's what it was. So if you haven't heard about those, I'm sure there's a quick YouTube video somewhere that summarizes them. Ultimately, it's just saying like, never take things personally and nothing can ever hurt you and you can never basically be dysregulated. Be impeccable with your word, and I can't quite remember the other 2 right now, but the one that's really coming forward for me is not taking anything personally. I feel like you are in a time right now, my friends, where you are really starting to embody that. Like, I think you just have a lot of grace for people around you. I really do like the word grace too, because I feel like you can see people in their struggles, you can see how they're being in the world or showing up in the world, but you're not taking it as anything personal, like anything that like you're not doing anything to deserve that behavior. You're really recognizing and understanding it's all coming from their own internal world. And it really creates this space for, compassion, being able to really stay grounded is actually what's coming through the most for me. Staying grounded in yourself, grounded in your own experience, seeing them, but not taking on their states or their emotional chaos if you're seeing that from people. And then I just feel like a lot of like just observing but not taking on. So this is like a pretty badass energy to be in. Let me just say that. It's super awesome. And whenever I see dragon, I just see like really coming from a place of wisdom. And that's where I kind of see that, like, can see that everyone's just on their own journey in their own place, and recognizing that ultimately the way people are responding to you, or I should say reacting to you, most likely isn't anything you're doing. It's just sort of the world they're in right now. So then we get looking over here at your person. So this could be someone that you know right now. Honestly, you don't have to have already met them, but just kind of tuning in lightly to the collective's energy here. I think this is someone you kind of know a little bit. You might not know them super well, but they're kind of in your radar, on your radar, in your horizon. And I ultimately think that there might be like a little bit of a crush energy, whether it's like an attraction energy from you towards them or them towards you. I kind of think they're crushing a little harder on you than you are on them. You might not quite be noticing them just yet, but I think during this holiday season, they are going to make themselves a little more known to you. I don't know if this one is going to be a full-blown relationship. This kind of feels like crush energy where, you learn a lot from each other. There's like that excitement, that crush energy excitement, but doesn't necessarily end up being like that long-term relationship. It could be, but I'm just feeling like overall the majority energy I'm getting is this is just one of those people who are in that like dating phase of your life where they teach you so much. And then you take those lessons into the next relationship, which could be the one that is your more long-term person. So that being said, this person, I already kind of get, like, anytime I see the detective, I do always see someone, like, who's kind of, like, observing other people, but kind of observing it in, like, a trying to seem like they don't care kind of way. This is always my interpretation of the card. Other people might have a different one, but I just always see that. Like, they're kind of curious. What is everyone else doing? What's going on with the other people? And it's, like, it's a genuine curiosity. And then when we have Bison, talks about abundance. Things are just going pretty good in their life right now. Feeling pretty excited and happy about where their life is going right now. So this could have been someone who got out of like a really hard job or a really bad relationship or just like a general stressful, uncomfortable situation. They have that energy of feeling rejuvenated, feeling like, oh, I'm out of the hard and I'm finally in this time of peace is more or less what I'm getting. And I feel like it's funny, this one says gratitude. I think they do have a lot of gratitude. I think they are pretty grateful, but there is this energy of, I almost want to say like advocacy. And I'm not quite sure why I'm getting that impression. So you take that as it makes sense to you. But I just feel like right now they're in a time of like wanting to get out more in the community. They might be doing things like going to environmental groups, like where people are just talking about environmental causes or effects. I see like someone who's trying really hard to be actually active community member, who wants to try and change or create change or support in their community. And I just see that as going to a lot of public events. I don't know why that's so specific, but I just keep thinking of that example, so I'm going to say it. I also feel like there's someone who might be a little creative, so they might be really into like photography or I want to say pottery of all things. Maybe like, for some reason I'm thinking like indigenous beading or like when they make beads on either earrings or on clothing, like I don't know, that's also a super random example, but that's coming to mind too. I feel like it's like an unusual creativity, and I feel like it's like a new hobby or thing they're picking up from going to these community events. Once again, this is so specific, so take it or leave it. But yeah, they are like really prioritizing connection and building community is kind of what I'm seeing from this person right now. But there is like this underlining insecurity thing coming through with them. Like when I keep seeing the detective, I feel like they're just trying to see what everyone else is doing to be more likable, to fit in more. It's kind of that energy. Like, how do I fit in more? How do I feel like I belong in this community? And they're coming from a place where I think they just had been in a lot of isolation. So they're in a phase when you meet them, if you haven't already, or maybe you're meeting them because you're going to these like environmental green event things, I'm not sure, where like from the outside they seem very happy-go-lucky, easygoing, and I think a lot in the internal world is like they actually came out of a bit of a tricky time and they're actually just trying to feel more grounded in their community, in their supports, creating more of that. So it's a very interesting time for them. That's why I kind of get like a lot of nervous energy from them as well, like just uncertainty from them. When I look over at you again, the dragon person. We have what's coming up in your system right now during the holiday season. We have surrender frustration and surrender worry. So frustration card says, frustration doesn't open any doors. The key to resolving a dilemma or dissolving a block is to take a breath, center yourself, regroup so you may approach the situation more calmly. And then the other card says, make a commitment not to lead an anxiety-driven life. When worries arise, breathe them out of your body. Focus on the power of your heart and have faith that spirit is guiding you always. Very interesting. I do find it interesting because like the energy I keep checking in with you is like you do feel overall pretty calm. And I almost wonder if this is coming through as like guidance to keep staying in the state of like regulation, calmness, not taking things personally, leading by example. I almost want to pull a clarifying card for that because I feel like your energy to me is feeling pretty grounded. Don't get me wrong. There's always like I feel like this pile, I do get a general like really desiring to maybe have like a really great romantic life. Like that's what I feel like this one's pretty biased to people who aren't in relationship. I'm not really seeing how this would apply to someone in relationship only because I just keep getting like this yearning for like wanting to genuinely meet your counterpart, like the person who gets you. And maybe that's even where the frustration and worry is coming up because I think in your other interactions with people, you're very grounded and you're very centered. But I think it's just that like longing for that connection is where the dysregulation is coming from. But let me pull some cards. Just a clarifying the frustration. Okay. Pull another one, clarifying. Okay, so clarifying cards, we have engineer and student and poet. Humility, devotion, knowledge, openness to lifelong learning, expressing soul insights in symbolic language, ability to give creative energy, a practical expression, talent for designing resolutions to common dilemmas. Yeah. Interesting. I don't know why I keep seeing that a lot of these are about communication, which is interesting. You know what? I might just need to pause. Sometimes I need to pause and just actually take a second to figure out what is coming through here. Okay, I'm kind of wondering if there's a bit of a vibe around you might be someone who's like actively dating during this holiday season. And there's a lot here about like learning how to articulate yourself from, I want to say like a place of calm and like reflection first. So the example I'm thinking of in my head is like, say if you're feeling pressured on time for meeting your soulmate or like the love of your life, maybe you want to start a family or something like that. I do feel like there's a little bit of a thinking ahead of time about what is like an approachable way to bring up certain topics. Might be by like watching podcasts or listening to podcasts, I guess is how you do that, about like even advice on like saying like, hey, if I'm really like focused on kids and things like that, how do I bring up that conversation on a first couple of dates just to make sure that we're not like putting more time into a relationship that doesn't want the same things. But I do feel like it keeps coming through with the elegancy of the words and saying it in a way that is like casual, calm, maybe even like a bit like playful. And it could be because perhaps if you're in this energy, maybe you're feeling a little pressured and like worried and like these, I wonder if that's where this has come through, like the frustration, the worry and the anxiety and the stress of like, what if I don't find a person or something like that? And just like taking like a breath and calming down and being like, all right, I can stress about this, but it's not going to change the situation. And all I can do is try to slow down those thoughts that are starting to maybe become a little overwhelming and just sit with what I have right now. And I keep getting like really researching how to like bring things up in a very like casual way, because I feel like if there's a lot of emotion behind some of these conversations you need to have with these people on dates, it might come off more stressful and intense. And it is a serious thing, but if we put a lot of pressure on something, then it can be a little intimidating from someone who doesn't really know us. And I think I'm just kind of getting that. I hope that makes sense. Like, maybe even taking some of the pressure off the person and yourself about it having to work. And I just like the card slowed down. It keeps really standing out to me about slowing down the brain, slowing down the thoughts. So overall, I feel like what could be happening is, I also wonder if you're someone who's very family orientated, maybe you go and see your family during these holiday seasons, and there is a lot of external pressure around finding a certain person, having kids, all those things, moving in with someone. I don't know. I just feel like there's just like a stress there. So that is interesting. So maybe, let's come over to this person again. So this person, what's activating in their system this holiday, we have surrender, desire to control people, surrender to the idea you can fix someone. So I would say what this person struggles with, and what I'm kind of getting from this, and like them being a very observant person, is I almost wonder if they try to be a certain way to please a person. So I actually don't think this is something that's external. I think this is an internal thing they struggle with. So if they're just trying to kind of get familiar with their identity and how they want to show up in the world, I would wonder if this person struggles with I feel like we've all dated that person where they kind of say they like doing certain things, but turns out they don't really like them, but they're doing it to fit into our lives better. They might be more easygoing at the start, but then later in the relationship, it was a forced thing. It actually wasn't something they enjoyed. So then it starts to kind of slip through to their normal pattern. I kind of get that. Like, when you see fix someone, I actually feel like this person struggles with changing who they are, kind of being a little too adaptable and not staying grounded in who they are. Yeah. And I also feel like this might be something that has sabotaged them in a relationship. So showing up who they are is, I feel like, really, really important for this person, which actually leads really beautifully into like what you end up teaching them. So I'm kind of skipping around, but these animal cards, we have the starfish and the lion. Both these cards is like, the starfish is about being okay with being seen more and kind of being a little more sociable, but coming out of that tendency to be too agreeable, like, people who can just change their opinion in a second in a conversation to not create any friction in that conversation. So I don't want to, I think the mainstream word would be like someone who might seem like a pushover from time to time. They're like learning that it's okay to have their own opinion. And with the lions, becoming very confident in who they are and starting to feel empowered within themselves. And it's very beautiful that this, I feel like in this relationship dynamic, person one over here, you really are kind of the teacher more so in this dynamic, which I think is why I keep kind of getting I think overall, I really do get the general vibe that this is going to be one of those crushes that is impactful, but not long term, only because this person sees you more as like a, what do the people call that when they put you on a pedestal? There we go. Put you on a pedestal and they don't quite show up fully for who they are, but there's you inspire them to start showing up that way. So that being said, you could end up dating this person for a long time if they step into this energy while they know you, but I kind of feel like you're one of those people where they're inspired to start stepping into this energy, but they ultimately don't quite find who they are, or aren't quite okay with being who they are within themselves. I think quite fast enough to keep up with you, if that makes sense. And I want to, not saying that you're impatient or anything, but you're kind of over here more ready for a serious thing. And I would imagine that person one here, I think you have a tendency to see the best in people, see the potential growth, and see that people want to grow, but you don't see all their blocks on potentially why they're not going to do that in the time frame that is necessary for you. To be not put in like a odd power dynamic in the relationship. Like I would feel like person one here might have struggled in the past with dating people who kind of looked at them like, or put them into like a parent role, in the sense of like having to help them navigate their emotions, having to always like help them work through their emotions and navigate and work through their emotions, work through how people were talking to them. Like, you know, there's like a bit of that in relationship, but I kind of feel like person one here might have had a habit or a tendency in the past to kind of start being put in a strange role by the person they are dating. And I kind of feel like this person is going to be similar to that, but they're going to be an in-between, because they're going to be a little more advanced, but they're still kind of, I don't know. I'm so sorry. I feel like you're probably not wanting to hear this, but I think it's important. So I'll come back to why it's important for you if you're watching this and it's resonating, is that I see here that what you take from this person, you are taught by this person, what you take away from this whole thing is we have the dragonfly and buffalo. And you're actually also the only pile where I felt like I had to pull 2 cards for the energy going in. This talks about changing and transforming your dynamics. So this, I feel like, talks about like, you're not going to track these people in anymore. It's like this thing clicks and you're like, I see now where I've been calling in the wrong person or giving the wrong person time. This person that is like kind of needing more of a mentor than a partner, a reciprocal relationship, a more equal relationship. It kind of puts you in this weird dynamic. And I have to say, like, it's more so from where this person's coming from. They're just not emotionally quite there. So it feels like they kind of put you in that like pedestal position, which is a really impossible place to be. But you learn to feel more abundant through this. So this is what's so cool. It's like this person is in this like enjoying community, realizing there's so many resources out there, realizing there's so much out there in life and that there's so much to experience. What I love is that it wears off on you. You like know you're not going to keep calling in the same type of relationship. Something happens where you really start to see the pattern, which is super awesome. That is the thing that changes things. But you also start to put, I think, truly, sincerely, less pressure on it having to be right now. You start to really get more grounded and playful in the present, which I really, really love. So this feels like a kind of relationship that is incredibly impactful and is like one of those ones where, like, as a card reader, when I see this is where I start to go, so it probably won't be this person that is going to be the forever person, but they're that stepping stone where all those lessons from your past relationships really click. And they click from seeing them from a slightly different perspective in this kind of dynamic of a relationship. And then it's usually the person after that is like the person you've been manifesting, calling in. So for me as a card reader, it's actually quite hopeful. As used to, how would I put this? The person living it would probably feel a little bit frustrating. And I would imagine when you meet this person, you're going to think they're your forever person. Only because I feel like there's like this interesting chemistry that I can't stop seeing from this. Very, very interesting chemistry that you're going to want to explore, which is totally welcome. You're not supposed to hold back in this. It really feels like there's so much that is learned on both sides and will go as ever long as it needs to. And you, once again, I keep getting, there would be kind of like a crush, sexual draw, chemistry thing going on already. Yes. And the other things, like, that's another thing. Like, the thing that this person even ignites with you is passion. So I would feel like if you've had previous relationships where you kind of lost your, like, feeling good in your body, like, desiring, like, intimacy or finding pleasure in physical encounters, I feel like this person is going to start to reignite that, like, excitement. Like, oh, it doesn't always have to be as it's been. Like, it gets you feeling hopeful and excited for that aspect of a relationship, because I do feel like there's a little bit more of a pressure around maybe family and partnership. But it reminds you of the fun of the relationship, which I really, really love for you. And then enjoy the tranquility of water. This actually just talks a lot about just enjoying the present as it is, enjoying the moments, the playfulness, maybe the chemistry. Just like enjoying the experience of it and not hanging on to it, having to stay the same. Water is very malleable and adaptable. And it just talks about just going with the flow. So that's one of the things you learn from this person. And slowing down, which comes really back to that, maybe like feeling like the pressure that there always has to be a direction, or has to, like, I just feel like, yeah, there's just like a lot of stress around where love has to go, the speed, the journey is just cut to the destination sometimes with how you're seeing things. And I feel like this person really helps you like take a breath and just be like, right now is everything. Right now is life, is living. So that's really cool. And what you teach them, this is where I feel like let it go of the martyrs. This is where I feel like this person, just like I think they're going to be an improvement from your past relationship history, but I think they still aren't quite emotionally in a place where they can meet you. Like, I think how I would see this is one of the avoidant people in the dating pool, like someone who kind of doesn't see their own accountability for the way the relationships went. Someone who's been pretty hurt by their relationship, so maybe shut down, don't show up how they are, don't really feel like there's much they can change, but there really is so much they can do. And this is one of the things you teach them, is there's so much they can do to overcome how people have treated them in the past, to show up differently. And once again, it keeps coming back to being strong in themselves. There's also practicing self-soothing. So I imagine this person probably doesn't quite have this skill set very well when you're meeting them. I kind of feel like there's someone, once again, I kind of get more of that avoidant attachment style where they might disassociate or freeze and shut down. And I just feel like you start to teach them how to start processing some of their emotions. So once again, you can see how this is like really awesome, but for you to have in a relationship, I think you're just looking for someone who already has some of these skill sets. But don't let me tell you how to live your life. I'm always open for you to go the way that your heart is calling you to. But just feeling like, I guess I'm just feeling like there's a more compatible love out there. But this one is so significant for you to really like see what could be and want and like ask for more. So focus on gratitude. Don't wait for a crisis to happen to be grateful for your life. Today, focus on what you have to be thankful for. So yeah, I feel like this is also another thing you're teaching them, is just how to be looking more on the positive side. I actually think that's what I see when I see the gratitude. Looking at the positive sides, look at what's going right, look at what they have right now. And it's kind of funny because I think this is more in relationship, because I think they're a pessimist in their relationships. Like, I think they might have to some degree given up on love ever being something where the partner can be kind, accepting, and like just love them for how they are. And I think you're teaching them that people can love you just as you are. So that's why I feel like there's going to be quite a bit of emotions between these two dynamics. But I do feel like ultimately this person, I mean, they can always change, but I do ultimately feel like their energy is like through meeting you and through the disconnection with you, they learn that they need to start showing up more authentically as themselves and not try to hide or camouflage who they are. They might just try to reflect what people are wanting to hear back, but it's not really a true view of who they are. So really stepping into that confidence, stepping into themselves and not being ashamed of it. So yeah, this is kind of an interesting one. I don't know how you'll feel watching this, because there is a lot of excitement here, but I ultimately feel like there could be a lot of like insecurity. I think that's what would be how you would know about this relationship. Like, you would feel like some days you'd feel really excited. Maybe when you're talking to them, you feel like there's so much possibility. And then there may be weird times where they just like don't quite fully ghost you, but they just kind of ignore you. They don't really give you a lot of security. And it just feels a little bit like up and downs. That's how you would identify this, because I feel like it wouldn't be coming from you. I feel like you're trying pretty hard to be communicative and like give it a chance, but I just don't quite feel like they're emotionally in a place where they know how to do that for you. They still need to learn how to really be accepting of themselves. They're still learning how to, trust their support systems, trust their community, trust the people around them. So I think they're probably in a phase where they're really building, like friendships and stuff. And I think you're going to be super impactful on them. Yeah, you're really going to change some perspectives that they've had for a while. So it's going to be, I just keep saying that. It's going to be a really, really impactful relationship. But Yeah, I hope you don't get hurt. I think that's what I'm worried about for this pile. I would worry that you might get disappointed, actually. I think that would be the thing. I think you'd get very disappointed because I think you can see their potential, but I just don't quite know if they're going to step into it. So I'll keep my fingers crossed for you, but that's just what I'm seeing as the card reader and looking in. And I'm just going to pull a few more cards, just asking for what else you need to know during this holiday season around all this. Because, yeah, here we go. We have, whoops, be lighthearted. Set your intentions to be easygoing and playful today. Gift yourself with some carefree time to have fun. Yeah, being lighthearted. And I think ultimately that's kind of what this feels like. You know, it's like maybe you came out of a really serious relationship, and this feels like that kind of person where they were a really good start to first start dating, but I honestly just think they're very avoidant. They're not emotionally available is like another word that people would use, but they're so great. So it's gonna just, yeah, they're going to be a hoot and holler to know, but I think ultimately they just aren't quite going to be available emotionally and at the place that you are. And I just really feel like this is that person in between your ultimate person. Okay, anyways, another guidance card for you. We have stop trying to fix people. Yeah, okay. It is interesting because this person, this person's internal world, I was saying, is they need to stop trying to like not be like trying to hide who they are, trying to adapt to people, trying to essentially be a chameleon without ever actually showing who they really are. And it's interesting that it's saying like, when I see this, stop trying to fix people, I feel like it's like, stop waiting for people to do the work that they're avoiding doing. It's like all you can do is show up as you are. All you can do is be yourself, be playful, lighthearted, hope for the best. But then if you see people not showing up in the way that you're needing them to, then not taking it personally, knowing it's frustrating, letting yourself feel all those emotions, but just knowing that like it's okay. Your person is not going to be that way. So it's just like that. They're not my person. It's okay. My person's out there and I'll know it because they'll be available for me. We also have look at the stars. Look up and remember that you are but a tiny speck in a large, mysterious universe. Let the magic of the stars connect you to your own special magic. Okay, so I love that because it talks about like keeping your hopes up and knowing, like I always think this is a manifestation card, like knowing that your person is out there even if this person isn't. So that being said, some of you might have been asking about someone you've literally been having this connection with where you're like, some days are great, then all of a sudden they're ghosting me, and then I see them again and they're super supportive and amazing, we have great conversations, and then they're gone again. Like, it's a roller coaster. So maybe you just were checking in on this to see what's up in the holiday season and if they're going to show up differently. But, you know, hopefully this brought some kind of confirmations for you about what to expect and all that. And I'll keep my fingers crossed for you that you know, this time goes through as easy as it can for you, and it just gives you that clarity you're needing to know what kind of relationship you are deserving of and are wanting to bring in. So sorry if this wasn't the greatest news, but I really feel like you're so close to your forever person. I do, I know. This is the kind of dynamic I see before someone finds someone who is like, available, we'll say. Okay, I'm gonna leave it here. I hope you have a good one, and I'll catch you around sometime. Hello, my pile threes. So if you didn't watch the intro, I'll give you the lay of the land a little bit here. We're looking at two people. I intended for you to be on this left side, and you are the butterfly child, and these are how your relationship or this relationship or love interest is impacting you, down to the scorpion. And then here with the artist, the gazelle, over is all person B. So if you do switch sides, that's okay. But I had just pulled cards intending for you to be on the left side here. So that being said, we are looking at the energy you're in right now, the energy they're in right now. We're looking at what might be activated in your system due to it being the holiday season. So this is outside of this relationship. It is just how your lifestyle, maybe your past history, your family, all that stuff is impacting you during the holiday season. And then we also are doing the same for them. And then we have how this connection ends up impacting you over the month. And that's these cards down here. And then we have the things that you learn from each other, the triple cards over here. So anyways, for you, this ultimately seems like a really, really big month for setting boundaries with people, speaking your boundaries, and not feeling guilty or bad for having boundaries. Boundaries around what you have the energy to do. This can also be like, how far above and beyond are you going for everything? Are you trying to, like if the standard, let's say, is that you just need to show up at this meeting, are you showing up, but then you're also trying to bring all the snacks, bring the best drink, bring board games, like, but all you actually had to do was show up. So it's kind of like asking, like, are you feeling like you constantly need to go above and beyond, which is even perhaps more depleting? So kind of having boundaries with yourself about how you need to show up and also with the people in your life. So yes, that's like the summary of what I'm getting. So current energy, we have butterfly rebirth. You can reinvent yourself, open to the rewards of change. You have a brilliance to share with the world. Love every part of your journey. And then the other energy card right now we have is the child magical. Seeing the potential for sacred beauty in all things, the belief that everything is possible. These cards are so beautiful together. It's like lots of hope, and a new future that is more rewarding for you. And just like an embracing of change. So I just think that's super awesome. And I also would feel like there's like a little bit of a reconnection with maybe the magic of the world, with the universe watching out for you, the universe having your back. Might be more of a connection to seeing lots of synchronicities and having fun little encounters that come up that, once again, just make sense with things that have been coming up for you. So another type of synchronicity. It just feels like overall like a revamp in your hopefulness for life and the things that are possible for you and seeing change. I think this is coming from you having seen a lot of change in your life. When we look over at this person here, this possible love interest, I was trying to see, I think this is going to be a love interest. I don't think this is someone you are in a long-term relationship with at this point. We have like, they're starting to see new perspectives. So it says, Spirit is sending you a message. Open your greater vision to see the signs. Focus on priorities and eliminate distractions. You have a bright future. Let yourself ascend to new heights. So this is awesome. So far, all these piles, it's like kind of mirroring a little bit about their perspective, their current energy is quite similar to some degree. And this person's the same thing. In a different way, they feel more rooted. You feel like you're more connected to like the ethereal magicalness, beautifulness of the world. And this person feels a little bit like they might have been someone who was like prone to depression, or I think about it like this trauma abuse cycle, like their like coping mechanisms to surviving challenging upbringings is one is like to accept darkness and just kind of live there. And I feel like this person could have been someone who tended towards that as a coping mechanism because they feel like they're so physical. They're so rooted in the 3D, which isn't anything wrong with that. But they actually needed like a little bit of an upbringing, like to bring up their spirits, because it almost was like they're living in too dense of a place, like maybe too dark of a place. Like they kind of lost sight of the light is how I'm seeing it. So they're coming to a place where they're seeing that they were needing like an upper, like something that brought to them feeling better. And when I say upper, I mean like just like a change in their routine and their lifestyle that brings more joy, more energy to it, because they think they're kind of realizing they're quite low. So we also have artists and dilettantes. These are beautiful cards. This talks about trying to bring more joy and play into life. So this is from very like ethereal, once again, way where magical, like wanting to maybe bring in, just like more beauty. Sorry, my alarm is going off just to keep me on track for time here. So anyways, this is very ethereal, maybe getting more into divination and things like that. This one is more like trying to bring more of creativity into life. So it could literally look like journaling, artwork, poems, I was saying photography, pottery, dancing, or it could just look like maybe they're doing like math equations that are puzzles that are fun for them. It could be like making puzzles. Could be playing more games. Like, it doesn't have to be literally art. It could just be anything of the sort. It could be like making AI generated photos. That's like a new thing. So it could be anything like that, but it's like something that gets them out of their logical brain and more into like a playful energy. So that's their current energy, which you can see is different from yours, but it kind of matches. Yours is like also playful, wanting to embrace more beauty, fun, and play. Theirs is also like that, but you're just coming from like a different place. If I hope that's clear. Like, theirs is kind of like from like they came from a pretty dark place where they felt pretty stuck. They might have had some pretty like low scarcity mentalities. It's kind of what I'm getting from this person. And I think for you over here, you might have felt hopeless, but it wasn't in the same. This person's very, very dense. Like, I want to say like very 3D, which once again is not a bad thing, but it just means like, yeah, like it could be like a really common experience, depression for this person, guilt, shame, like kind of those really low energies where I feel like this pile could feel hopelessness, but it just doesn't feel like you ever sunk as deep as this person did, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to compare experiences. I'm just trying to like clarify the difference, but I'm not really sure if I'm doing that in the right way. This always, like, you still feel fairly lighter than this person does in general, but even especially at their like darkest point, I think they're maybe one of those people where like if you are doing like AI generated photos, they might be very dark, might be lots of like skulls and like kind of morbid pictures, and I don't feel like this pile's ever like that. You can feel like heavy, but I don't think you would be generating the same photos. They'd be happier, lighter, more hopeful, maybe Alex in Wonderlandy. So it's just like an interesting thing going on here. Okay, anyways, so what we have for you being triggered by the holiday season or experiencing, we have surrender to known action and surrender to the magic of who you are. So overall, it seems like pretty good headspace. Just more of like bringing in more qualities of yourself. So this talks a lot about realizing that, like, embracing more of that like manifestation, embracing more of that the universe will bring me in what I need when I need it, and I'm just going to do the best with what I can right now. And also realizing that there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. Like, you're beautiful, you're unique, and you're fun in your own way. And I would imagine you feel like that. I think this pile would feel like they're a bit quirky or just unusual to others, but it's like just embracing that, like just letting yourself just be as authentically yourself as possible. And I don't know, I actually overall feel pretty good for this pile. Like, I feel like it's not like the holiday season's gonna be easy, but I feel like you're just like treating it like any other time of year, which is a little bit refreshing. Although when I do look at your advice cards coming in, it does talk about like, I think this is a general thing though. I think this is the thing. I don't think you change during the holidays, or like what happens around the holidays changes who you are. I think you could just in general use a little more boundaries with people, feeling like you don't need to go above and beyond and deliver like way above what the ask is. Like, just really just being okay, showing up as you are, and just actually meeting the minimum expectation and not trying to go above and beyond. I keep trying to say that. Because also when we have like this person teaches you, we have a cat here, is like being a little sassier, like a little firmer. So it's like you could be someone who's very gentle, and I imagine like just picturing your voice, I think you'd be very, very maybe soft-spoken, very kind, very understanding in your speech. Like, I wonder if you wouldn't really say things that are overly firm. That's maybe what the word I want to use there. Like, nothing is an extreme absolute. Like, I just really feel like you're someone who has quite a gentle demeanor to you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But what I like about what this person does for you is they start getting you to feel more strong in yourself, to set stronger boundaries, be more strong in your beliefs, in your spoken word. I think I just see as generally more fiery, more certain of yourself, more more good at implementing the consequences of people not following your boundaries too. Something like that. And then over here, for them, we have, you essentially are like rubbing off in the other way, where they are sincerely needing a little bit more of lightheartedness towards people because of that energy I was saying where they came from before, of like feeling maybe kind of hopeless, kind of feeling like the world's just shit kind of vibe, or like people are just mean, people are unforgiving, people aren't understanding. Like kind of get a little of that kind of belief systems in the past. I imagine it was fueled by experiences that validated that belief system and outlook. So I do just feel like with meeting you and after this time, there's like this like gentleness that you welcome in more from them. Like they start to see the light in people. And what I love about the firefly is I feel like it's like, you know, like it's just a little spark at first, but like that's a huge change from what or how they were seeing the world or how they were perceiving the world. And it really comes with a softening. They're softer in their interactions with strangers. They're softer in their interactions with other people. They kind of come from things with a little more humor than they used to. So I think they can literally laugh at the things people are doing a bit more, where they might have taken it quite seriously before. And I feel like overall, it feels like quite heartwarming. Like they are feeling safer to experience some of those higher emotions. So like I was saying, I think they were quite stuck in like depression, guilt, shame, and now I feel like they might be moving up into like a higher emotional frequency. So I'm literally thinking of that graph for like the frequencies of emotions, and like kind of have like a chart. I think joy is like the highest rated one on there, and I think instead of being in the lowest bottom part of the chart, they're probably somewhere in the mid-range. After getting to know you, it's like it really elevates them to see life differently. So it's actually quite a beautiful thing. What they are struggling with in the holiday season, surrender what is, and surrender always need to be right. So this makes me think of kind of like people who might get into a lot of arguments in the comment section in Facebook, you know, like people who are just like, I don't understand why people are treating each other this way. I'm gonna have to say something to stand up for that person or that group of people, or to say, hey, what you're doing isn't nice. But you know how like it doesn't matter how well-intentioned people are, the comments on Facebook are really aggressive. And I feel like there's someone who's like, I just need to say this so that people realize they're not being kind, or they're not being loving to each other, or that it wasn't right what they did. And I feel like this is that energy where it's like they're trying their best, but they're kind of getting into a fight with people who are just gonna come back with anger and aggression. And I think it just like downward spirals them a bit. So the guidance for them is to surrender to what is, to start to be okay with the fact that some people are kind of not great. They are right there. Some people are just really hurt, and other people are trying their best to make it a little bit brighter. And I think it just helps them to start to see, they're like focusing less on the people who are just kind of causing fights and are hurting and are fighting for their beliefs, but might not be doing it in a very loving way. And starting to see the people who are just being more kind, softer, and peaceful. And I really think that's like the game changer. So what they're learning from you in this connection, we have like being a martyr comes through strongly, because I feel like that's where that hopelessness comes from, where they're just like feeling so hopeless to create change. Everything might feel like there's nothing they can do to change it, and the world's just all going to go to shit. I feel like they say things like that, something like that. And you really start to teach them that there is, like, they're starting to see the beauty of it. They're starting to see that little magical moments, because that's what you see, and it's really quite beautiful. And once again, I have to emphasize, like, where this person's coming from, they most likely did see some of the worst things of people. I almost get the impression that this person could have been like in the army or the Navy or something like that. They don't have to be, but that would be something else that maybe would be a confirmation for someone, as it feels like someone who's like actually seen the worst of people. And that's why their perspective is like this. It's not like they just decided to go and hate the world. They literally just saw some really devastating things and have a really hard time getting out of it. So retreating to the natural world, I think you also teach them to see the small beauty in things, and like maybe appreciating animals more, plants more, literally getting outside more, and realizing that that can feel supported and safe if they don't feel supported and safe by other people. And that feels really, really big. Releasing the critical voices. Yeah. So ultimately, when I feel like they're like, perhaps previously, or if they do this, lashing out on like Facebook comments or things like that, it's like starting to realize that like maybe what they're saying to other people is the standards they're holding themselves to, and just starting to be gentler and gentler on themselves. Yeah, I feel like they might feel like they care too much, or they get too emotional about things. And I really feel like you're just really starting to nurture them and teach them that it's okay to care so much. But there's also like a boundary with ourselves that we have to set to not become debilitated by what we're seeing, by the news, by how someone treated someone. So you really help them kind of lighten up and soften and start to see the beauty in life again. Because once again, I just really get like, so the stereotype I would see is someone who like had come back from a war, or had seen some really tricky things. And once again, it's like they really do care so much about humanity, and that's what makes it hard for them to see other people not be great humans to each other. So that is tricky for them. And then for you, yeah, what you learn from this person is setting limits with draining people, reclaiming your power, and be comfort to yourself. So this talks about really feel like they start to teach you that you don't need to go so above and beyond. Like, I think if you're someone who's like, oh, like I have friends coming over and we need to clean everything in the house and make sure that a garbage has garbage in it, or things like that. Like, it's saying like, this person really teaches you to be like, yo, like, it's okay. You're not supposed to be perfect. You don't need to look like you're not even living in your life. Like, you're human. Takes a lot of energy, and you just don't have it, and it's okay. Your friends love you, and you don't need to do all that. Like, I feel like it's that kind of person. Setting boundaries on like how much you have to give, how much you have to show up to places. And once again, I do feel like there's just going to be a lot of boundaries with yourself, about why you may need to feel like you need to go so above and beyond, or have a certain standard for yourself, but then also with other people. So it could be hardest for yourself, though. I imagine for this pile, if the viewer here, it might be really hard for you to lower your standards for yourself to show up for people. But I think it's going to be what gives you enough energy to show up more. So it's kind of being firm with yourself. And then like, even like, if this person sees someone not treating you in a very kind way, they're definitely going to be the first to voice it. They're going to be like, hey, like that person, I'm not sure if they deserve your time. Maybe we could find a way to come up with some suggestions for you to not have to spend so much time with them, or set more boundaries with them, or come up with things to say so you're not getting stuck there talking to them too long. I really just feel like they're not going to put up with people not treating you well. They're very big on justice. So I definitely see that, and reclaiming your power. So this is great. It's like making you feel like empowered in your life. Like you can create the change, you can be more in control, and that you don't just have to like agree and show up to all these things. And it's just like even reminding you that you can say no. Because I don't like, once again, it doesn't always mean that other people in your life aren't letting you say no. You might not remember that you yourself can say no to things. So I feel like that person's going to constantly be a little reminder to you. I could see this relationship lasting a little while. I don't know if it would be forever. I could see it going that way. I definitely feel like this is the kind of relationship that has different phases. So I think this would be the first phase. So if you're already in this and this is sounding like your relationship, cool. If you haven't met them yet, I could see you meeting them pretty soon during the holiday season. And once again, yeah, I could see it being something that lasts maybe, I would say at least a few months, I would think. If you're actually in a relationship, yeah, I think so. This doesn't seem like a person who, like this person seems extremely loyal. So that's why I'm like, I just don't see them like making a connection with you and then walking away. They're extremely loyal. So you kind of feel like if there was someone who was going to leave this relationship, I think it would be the viewers here intended over here. And that would be ultimately up to you. But I feel like you kind of enjoy their protectiveness. And they're really good opposition energy for you. So you can maybe give people too many chances and they're not quite giving people enough. So you, in a beautiful way, kind of balance each other out and start to learn from each other. So I think there is a lot of great lessons to come from this one. Yeah, and like even here, like the softening, the gentleness, finding more hope for people and being more optimistic about life. And then you kind of starting to not push yourself so hard, to remember that you can set boundaries, you can deny going to certain places, whether it's because of people in your life that don't let you say no, or if it's because you just forget sometimes that you can say no to things. So do you feel like this is quite quite a good balance? So anyways, I'm just gonna pull a few more cards here and we're getting to the end of it. So what do you need to know, my viewers, during this time? Any guidance that wants to just come through here? Observe, don't absorb. If you are taking on the stress of others, try observing the situation from a distance. This will increase your energy. I love this. Seriously, you have so much lavendery, purpley, pink colors coming through. So you might have a lot of heart coming online and a lot of crown chakra coming online, which makes sense because you're being very ethereal right now, which is nothing wrong with that. It's just kind of feel like those two things come online more for those two chakras. Slow down. To avoid burnout, don't do too much too fast. Going slower lets you appreciate the miracle of the moment and the richness of your life. Often slowing down makes us realize if we're feeling ungrounded or unpresent too, so that can always help. And any other guidance here? One last thing. We have energize yourself with earthing. Walk barefoot or stretch out on the grass. Put your hands in the soil or hold a stone. Let the earth restore your strength and ground you. So this is talk about trying to get more connected to nature. If it is winter where you are and it is snowy like it is here, you could talk about, just like I was saying, holding onto a crystal, maybe getting some house plants. Maybe if you live in Canmore, coming to my garden center sound baths, being immersed around plants and just kind of creating that attachment to Mother Earth. You don't have to be outside, but it can just really help to be surrounded by those things. Maybe by an indoor little water fountain or something like that, just to help ground you and remember who you are. You're supported. You're so loved. Taking a breath in and a breath out and just trying to release any extra tension or worries that you have. So anyways, this is where I'm going to leave you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this brought confirmations or validations. I always feel like when I do these readings, by the end of it, I'm like, you might already know this person and you're just watching this as some confirmations, which is totally cool. But for those of you who haven't met this person yet, I wish you the best of luck. I really do have to say they're super, super loyal. So that would be how you would definitely recognize this person. Super loyal. They don't commit to something without putting their whole heart into it. And they really do care about people. So like even their friends, they would really show up for and have like a really strong standard for how they are in the world. So anyways, I'm going to stop talking now and actually let you go. Have a good Christmas season, whichever holidays you celebrate, and I'll catch you around another video.